Were vintage pens small? Are they? Are they small? We need to ask that question and come up with an answer. I think we do. Because you know what? I keep hearing it. I keep reading it. It's crazy. It's not quite right. It's wrong. Here's the thing. This is a pencil, right? This is a number 2 pencil that I assume, if I'm not wrong, we all grew up with, right? And we were able to get through it all, weren't we? Like, it was terrible, it was awful. Nobody understood us, but we had our number 2 yellow pencil. And it just worked, right? We could do it. Now, don't get me wrong, there are people who have difficulties with grip and they need something that's thicker. Maybe they have arthritis, whatever the case may be. There's always somebody who's saying, you know what, it doesn't work for me. But it works for most people, and that's why this was made and why it was so popular and successful, and it worked for so long. So here's a pencil that we use. We all use. It says it all right there, right? And then what do we have? We have something like this, which is kind of something even more deluxe than a Bic crystal, right? It's slightly thicker, but it's something we use at work, many of us have. You have no say in the matter. You have a pen you inherit. You just write with it, right? And somehow it seems to work generally, kind of, sort of, But the problem with it is it's such a piece of garbage that you break this part here. Well, like in here, it's the section actually of this pen, like in here, and then you break it in half and throw it into the garbage because you're so angry and ticked off with it. So you say, screw you. But we survived. Now, the worst part about this pen is you have to push really hard to get a satisfying line. It's garbage. And when I was in college, I figured it out. I was like, you know what? That's not the way to write a thing. Yuck. So, um, I was already into old and vintage stuff, really old, 1920s, which was ancient in the 80s, but now it's super old, right? And it brought me down this path, and I've got to say, there was a lot of ingenuity in the design of this stuff. The whole thing online is like, or one of the stupid myths. I think they're stupid, that we hear all the time is that, oh, vintage pens were small, or they were smaller than modern pens. Okay, let me make something perfectly clear right now. Perfectly clear. Modern fountain pens are luxury items. Vintage ones from, vintage fountain pens from like 1915 through 1964 or so, they were everything from the cheapest, most reliable, this is what a pen is, right? This is, when you say pen, you mean this, right? To very fancy stuff. And I just want to show you guys, gals, whoever you are, what was going on at the time. They had everything. This idea that fountain pens were skinny and thin. I mean, here's a contemporary Waterman's ballpoint, a fancy one. Not my thing, but it's a thing. Let's see if we can get something worth even looking at here. Do I care? Not so much, because it's like, this is just not this thing I care about. But if you look at the smallest standard Waterman's pen, this is a great study, actually, in terms of design. You'll see a pen like this. Now, this is a fancy one. This is very special, actually. It's a thimble cap, wood grain. Like, this wasn't even something that was in the catalogs. This is a cool pen. But it's the right dimensions. Does that... There you go. Neat pen. And I got this from a certain fellow who I've known for a long time, in Chicago. So last year, I think it was. Cool pen. But it's, clearly small, right? This is a Waterman's 52.5V. They had a numbering system that made a lot of sense, but I just wanted to show you how small this is, right? And yet, as small as it is, when you post it, it's a reasonable length. It's not that small. It becomes like a thing you can actually use. If you will forgive me, in this video, because I'm trying to show you the sizes of these pens more than anything else, I'm not going to fill them and write with them, but you know how many times I fill and write with my pens, because that's like a big part of what I do. I'm a user and collector. I love them deeply from every angle, unlike a lot of people. And that's part of why I think what I have to say, part of why what I have to say is worth listening to, quite frankly. Not to be a jerk or self-important, rather to make a point that it's kind of both. There you go. These are great pens. Anyway, great nib. Neat pen. The pencil that goes with it is tiny, teeny weeny. Look how cute this is. It's adorable. I have the set, which is cool. That I have the matching set is neat. Does that look like anything? I hope. They're so cute. I mean, they're tiny, and yet as small as they are, they're practical. They were made for a reason. They were portable, super small. You know, you could use them for notating your golf game or whatever. You know, how cool. Anyway, so it's a 52.5 V in a cool configuration. Here's a 52.5 with an overlay, and that's a little bit of an apples to bergamot or kumquat comparison rather than oranges. Apples to oranges. Because it's slightly thicker. There you go. This pen actually is significant because it's a 552.5. It's a solid sterling, solid 14 karat gold pen. It's narrow, elegant. There's some wear there. It's not as bad as it looks in the video, because apparently I have, again, only half a photon to photograph with. But this size is fabulous. So it's a full-size pen. Oh, I want to hide those. That was a secret. Anyway, here we go. Full-size pen that's really elegant when it has an overlay, particularly. It's just a really nice size. It just looks terrific. The proportions are wonderful. This one has the, where is it? Here. Come on. This has a little bit of dinging there, not so good. But this has this really cool, yeah, there it is. Milling on the end. Just a really cool pen. Really nice. There it is. Neat pen. The proportions are so elegant. So this is a little bit of a thinner pen, but it's a full-length pen. And when you post it, right? Note, by the way, that this is a Waterman's series. So they've got a whole philosophy, a design philosophy, and a marketing philosophy for the good, actually. So this thing becomes a really nice full-size pen, and it's not skinny. It's not, I mean, it's thin, nice nib. If you compare it to, where were we? We've got this thing, right? This pencil, right? So it's kind of in the ballpark, right, of the pencil in terms of the thickness, which is kind of interesting, isn't it? Now, moving on to the next size up, we go to the regular 52, or actually, let's go to the 52V, which is the best size pen, which is a little bit smaller. Here's one with a clip, which is fabulous. Great pen. Now, we're already starting to get a little bit chunky and deluxe with this guy. Even though it's short, right? This one's short. Let's see if we can zoom in a bit here. Make it look good. Yeah. Neat pen. Now, if you compare this to something, oh yeah, shoot. I wanted to show you that ripple pattern there, right? Isn't that great? That's cool as hell. And here's the imprint. I mean, this is part of the fun of it all. Right? And this is not a rare pen. It's not expensive. It's not cheap, but it's not expensive. But what a cool pen, right? And here's our pencil friend here. Give you an idea of the thickness. So you're like, okay, now we're getting already pretty deluxe. You know, that's a chunky thing, right? And then you post it. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. Okay, so it's cool. It's like magic. It goes from like a little short, tiny pen. I'll zoom out a bit so you can see it better. Now it's becoming like a reasonable length. Now you're like, okay, all right, that kind of works. I can see that happening. Yeah. Again, I'd be writing right now, but for God's sake, it would take me the rest of my life to clean these pens out. But it's a good sized pen. So it's a 52V, 52 lever filler is what the 5 is. 2 is the number size nib, and kind of the overall thickness and length. But the V means vest, means short. So there's that one, right? So okay, I'll put that here. Oh shoot, yes, I need to put this one here. Okay, we've got this under control. Got it. All right, thanks. So now we're going to the next pen. What are we going to show you next? Oh, a 54. I don't have a 54. Here's what you need to know about the 54. It's basically the same dimensions as a 52, which I'll get to in a moment, a full-size 52. And I'm getting ahead of myself. Never mind. I'll tell you later. Hold on. I'll show you a 52. All right. So here's a 52. Oh, God. Good grief. I have so many of these things. Tons of them. But I do for... Oh, that's nice. All right. There you go. Right. But, whoa. I've got these pens for a reason. Because they're too fun and too smart and interesting. All right. So here's a 52. This one's a little bit later. It has the Waterman's clip rather than the clip cap clip. I've got one of those next to me. If you want to see it, I can show it to you if you want. God, this is terrible. Come on, focus, baby. You can focus, can't you? Anyway, so here's a 52. Let's make that better. This was their sort of standard basic garden variety pen at the time, right? This is like about 1928 or so. It's in Ripple hard rubber. And there you go. Make that a little better. Anyway, it's a neat pen, great pattern. And this is, getting to be like a decent size. It's getting to be a decent size pen. Again, here's our pencil, right? And I'll show you, coming up shortly, a Pelikan M800 for comparison, right? So, again, it's significantly chubbier. It's already a nice deluxe size, right? And this is a standard fountain pen size. It certainly was for Watermans at the time. And now that we've put the cap on it, right, it's posted, this is a long pen. This is a full-size pen. This is a great design. This is pretty perfect. There were a lot of these. They're fantastic. I love them dearly. There's a reason they enjoy the reputation they have. This is a nice nib. Ooh. Yeah, I want to write with that, actually. Like, a lot. Okay, never mind. That's tantalizing. Anyway, so here we go. That's a full-size 52. Put that over here. And then we're going to go to a 54. I don't have a 54. Why? I'll tell you why. The 54 is basically a 52, but with a bigger nib. And with a section that has an outer dimension that's the same as the 52, but the inner dimension is bigger to accommodate the number 4 nib and the larger feed for it, which is, a bigger feed than for a number 2. So they turn out to be a very rare pen. They're they're pretty valuable and collectible overall, but they're not as super desirable as some larger pens. And the thing is, they just don't quite pack the punch of like, wow, what a great pen. that the other pens do. It's too bad because, in a way, right? Because it's like it's got a big nib, but it's basically a 52. It's like it's both really interesting and like a major design fail. It just is. Anyway, so let's move on, shall we? The Waterman's 55. Now this is their first officially oversized pen, and this is a perfect pen to me. I think this is arguably the perfect pen. Now we're getting big here, right? And I'm going to show you some comparisons very shortly in terms of how big these things are. So this is a 55, and the patterning on this is fabulous. This is a famous pen. I used this for the theme to John Dankosky's NPR show, Next New England. And I used it to sign my name. Go figure. It was pretty cool. All right, come on. Focus, people. I hope it does. This is a great pen. Great pattern. Really beautiful. That's a nice size. It's big, but it's not huge. And part of my decision making for like what makes for great examples of these pens is the thickness of the section, right? So look at that. That's like, this is a really nice design. Nice size. It's thick, but it's not super thick. So it helps you to focus a bit when you're actually writing. You're like, yeah, this is just a perfect pen for my hand, even unposted. If I post it, it's even better. You know why? Because it makes it slightly back heavy, which makes our hairlines easier to make when we float the pen on the page. Just kind of like go like this. And because the back end is kind of drawing it back, it makes it easier to make it super light. Yeah. Hairlines. Delicate lines. Beautiful. Great pen. One of my absolute favorites. So again, now if we show this pen against, where is it? I don't know where that stupid Bic ended up. I can't find it. Weird. I put it away somewhere, and I really put it away. But anyway, well, here's our pencil, because the pencil's about the same size. See, the 55 is already getting pretty big, right? We'll zoom out a bit. There you go. So that's the 55, not posted. And if we put the, here we go. There it is. So look how huge this becomes, right? That's the 55. Nice pen. Really nice pen. So let's get the next pen, right? So that's a 55. Now we're getting to like, that's the first oversized pen that Waterman's had in this series. Now if we go to the 56, this is a big pen, people. Huge, right? I've got like a massive video on this thing, and people went cuckoo because they're like, look at this pen, it's so awesome. Dude, your pen is so cool, man. Whoa. Let's see if I can find the darn thing. Here we go. All right. So here we go. All right. So here's a 56. This thing's amazing. It's not 100% perfect, and here's why. Because these are hard to find. All right. And this one, Mike Daigle and Otto Yang were so awesome to help make a reality for me. So here's the lever. It's a PSF replacement. So this is the wrong filler. So that made this actually less expensive than it would have been otherwise. But this thing's huge. This is about the size of like an M1000, a Pelican M1000. It's massive, right? It's a big, big pen, tremendous nib, huge. I love it. You know, I've got to ask you people, do you think that vintage fountain pens are small? They're smaller than modern pens? Let me show you a Pelican M800. This is about the size, as I said, of an M1000. Let me get you an M800, if I can find the thing. It's here somewhere. Not there. Oh, I think it's in here, in this zipped up thing that I'm opening up. There it is. Yep. Okay. So, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, that's an M800, a Pelican M800. right? And that is a Waterman's 56. So the M800 is universally lauded and respected, and it is, of course, understood to be an oversized pen. Famously, a posh deluxe oversized pen. So here's the 56 next to it. Right? These are, big pens. I needn't tell you which is my favorite of the two. So I will move on to the next because we have more to share. There are still yet more big Waterman's fountain pens of this 5X lever filler series. Okay, so what's next? Oh, right. Oh, okay. This takes a short while. This requires a short walk to retrieve. Hold on. All right. This is a monster. All right. In fact, I'll bring back this Pelican M800 for comparison. And here we have the Waterman's 58 in Ripple. This is a great pen. Look at this thing. It doesn't fit in the frame. Let's hold on. Huge. And that clip, that just shows you how big this pen actually is. And it's just a monster. It's just too cool. I mean, look at the clip. It looks tiny on that cap. Look at the character of this pattern. I love it. Neat pen. And when you post it, it's, absurd. I mean, look at the size of this nib. It's like dumb. All right, let's look at the nib. It's just huge. It's just like... There you go. People love this stuff, and I get it. Yeah, hold on, let's put the thing here. There you go. I mean, really. It's crazy. It's nutty. I tell you. Nutty. Anyway, so that's the 58. It's a monster. It's huge. All right. So let's move on. Because Waterman's went even farther than that. I swear to you. I kid you not. Because they could. They were like, well, we're Waterman's. We're huge. We're the best. There you go. Or at least, that was their thing. But they were old and they were venerable and they were fantastic. And there's a reason we love them and collect them. Because they're incredible. Just amazing pens. So, all right. Where's the last one? Here we go. This is nutty. You're going to love this. I do. I know I do. This is the largest Waterman's production pen. The 20. Hold on. Let's do this right. All right, here we go. There you go. Zoom out a bit. This thing's a monster. It's huge. Hold on. Yeah, get that Pelican M800 here. I mean, look at that. It's just crazy. It's just absurd. I mean, I remember my brother-in-law showing my mother, of all people, right, a Mont Blanc 149. I was like, oh, God. It's like a sausage. It's huge. But this makes a mockery of the whole thing. It's just enormous. It's just hilariously big. Massive. Huge pen. And again, the proportion of the clipped the size of the cap. It just tells you everything you need to know. This thing's enormous. And again, this is just silly. And the M800 is a big pen. Let's be real. And again, I want to just make it clear that here's the thing. Fountain pens became a luxury item at a certain point. After about 1964 in the US, they were eclipsed by ballpoints and cheaper pens. So the fountain pen market became a deluxe thing. So it became about how big they were. And big pens, or largely, and big pens were always posh and expensive and show off things. Cool. So these are, a bunch of really huge pens and some small pens, all by Watermans. And I want to show you in the Watermans tray what they look like. Right? I mean, it's ridiculous. They're huge. Well, and tiny. And everything in between. I love Watermans. I think they got a lot right. They really did. They were a standard to learn from. Great pens. So, yeah, were vintage fountain pens, small? I don't know. You tell me. I think they were everything. They were small, they were huge, they were everything in between. It's a universe. It's so much fun and so worth looking into and learning from and enjoying. So I say enjoy it. Thank you. Have a lot of fun with these things. I know I do. Love you all. Take care. Bye-bye.